it was certainly unfortunate about the accident on the beach, on the bridge. I think it just goes to show that the lower speeds are necessary on that road, and certainly we'll see what happens as it proceeds forward. But you know, that's a good reason why you don't need to. You know, we need to be sober when we're driving across that bridge for sure, and we need to drive the speed limit. So, but I do also, another thing, want to begin real quick with this one. I'm going to call up Annie Bloxon. She's going to come up and talk to us about our Pensacola Fire Department, who's participating in the National Fire Prevention Week this next week, which runs from Sunday, October 6th through Saturday, October 12th. This is a participation with the National Fire Protection Association. And Chief Annie Bloxon was going to come up here. I want to introduce you. Come on up, Annie. You're going to start off.
Thank you, Mayor Robinson. Good morning. I'm Amy Bloxon, Fire Marshal with Pensacola Fire Department. And the National Fire Protection Association, for over 90 years, they have sponsored the Fire Prevention Week. And this year's campaign theme is "Not Every Hero Wears a Cape. Plan and practice your escape." So this is one of the pamphlets that we'll be passing out this week to all the elementary schools for the students there. If we get the information to the students, it will get home to the parents. What we're looking, five behaviors that can increase the house fire, increase your chances of surviving, is staying calm and focused. Make sure you have working smoke alarms in your home. And we do have a smoke alarm program where we come out and install smoke alarms free of charge to any resident within the city limits. The Escambia County Fire has the same program. If you need a working smoke alarm in your home, give us a call at 850-436-5200, and we're more than happy to come out and install one for you. A couple of the other points is act immediately after your smoke alarm sounds off. Get out of your home. There's nothing in that home that you need to worry about saving that can't be replaced. We can't replace our own lives. Maintain your smoke alarm. Be aware of the possibility of fire. Get out and let the fire department put the fire out. Not only be aware of safety in your home, be aware of your plan of escape in public places also. So I know since I've been in this line of work as the fire marshal, I have the tendency of checking smoke alarms, checking smoke extinguishers no matter where I go. It's just a habit now. My family look at me like I'm crazy, but I tell them I always want to know my way out of any building. When we go to a hotel, know your way out. If you go to the Bay Center, anywhere out of town, just know your way out of the building, not just in your home, but everywhere, even in this building. If that alarm sounds, don't let us come down and catch you sitting in your office. Get up and get out. Thank you.
Chief, thank you so much for being here today. Chief Bloxon, thank you very much for being here and taking that message. I hope certainly everybody out there that's watching us online and any other things, hopefully they remember if you need one. We had the same system, I know, at the county when we did it, and it's a great system. Take advantage of it. It's unfortunate. I know it's hard to believe with it being this hot, but we are soon turning the corner into cooler weather, and you know, people come out and have fires and a variety of other things, and we have challenges with this. I will say, I want to compliment Pensacola Fire. Friday, I was leaving my house to go to the Navy base to have dinner with the CO's house out there, and when I was on turn on to Cervantes, I saw smoke coming from, there was a fire in the 1700 block of East Gadsden, and I know the fire crew got there. I talked to Chief Craner at that night, and she said everything at least was contained in the building. No one was hurt. So again, it's one of those things that can happen any time. Make sure you have a smoke alarm on that. Definitely want to make sure that you do that. And if you don't have one, please call the fire department, and they'll work at getting something there. Last week, I want to say we had a really productive meeting with Florida DOT. I think we had some discussions that they're going to come back here in a couple of days and work with our staff to try to figure out how we can make that as good as we can make it. We talked about really the fence coming down, really pretty much the whole length of it. I think there may be some barrier of extended in street. In street is where we have about 7 or 8 incidences of pedestrians. It looks like they have this map and it's in red, so it looks like it's a blood trail going across that whole section. So clearly that's probably one of the highlight areas that we may have something. I mean, it may be some kind of a planter buffer, but I think we'll do something there. But aside from that, it's going to be planters and landscaping. We talked about there's some chicaning in the road. We're going to get more. Our whole goal is to get more, which that's kind of as the road kind of meanders through its own. It's still in the same one. They're going to be narrower lifts, but the whole idea is that slows cars down. Make sure that they have to slow down in those areas. There will also be, instead of we talked about trying to grow median, we asked could they try to grow sidewalk, and certainly in some of those areas, sort of in the F, E, F, and G area, where there's some retail, we hope to grow some sidewalk in there that will be better for pedestrians walking along there. We're working on that as much as we can on in the west of Pace area. I told them anytime they could create more sidewalk west of Pace, we would like that. We'd really like to reintroduce back a good neighborhood commercial area in Brownsville. So we certainly think that would be conducive. And of course, they did say they're looking at putting in lights. They said rather than Q, they thought R, but they would be looking to add lights to R and L, which I was very happy with. I think that's going to have a lot of impact on trying to give safe connections in that area and also slowing traffic down. So we had a real good discussion. They're going to come back here and work with us, and I really appreciate their willingness to work with us and take some of our suggestions. So I was very happy about that, and I thought our staff did a great job. I thought Derek back there and Mike Zarnick with our Complete Streets really did a great job of working with them to provide good sound ideas for what we could do, and I really appreciate their team willingness to work. So I do think before the meeting in November, that they're going to do another public meeting, that they want to have a new plan, and we're going to work hard over the next couple of weeks to try to get that plan out. And so I'm not sure when they're going to be meeting, but I'm sure Derek will have that over time, and they're going to come here and just have some meetings, just the two of them, DOT and city staff, and try to work through that. So I'm very excited about that. Also, very happy to recognize John Appleyard last week as the City of Pensacola Storyteller Emeritus. Certainly he's written 102 books, been sort of a highlight of capturing Pensacola's history in a number of different areas. We're certainly grateful for everything he has done and continues to do in this Pensacola area and beyond. So we were glad to recognize him and the Appleyard family. Also, we had, I think it was it may have been the last one of the season, we had one more cleanup. During the mayor's cleanup, neighborhood Saturday cleanup, sanitation collected over 50 tons of bulk waste, 115 tires, 1,049 gallons of paint. So thank you to sanitation staff for your hard work and for all you do for the residents who participate. The last one of the year will be Saturday, October 26th. And again, stay tuned for more information. The Pensacola Police Department will be hosting a Coffee with a Cop this Wednesday morning as a part of National Coffee with a Cop Day. They will be at Doghouse Deli in downtown Pensacola from 8 to 10, so we encourage anyone to come out and take the opportunity to have a cup of coffee and meet your police officers. Finally, the City of Pensacola will be participating in United Way Day of Caring this Friday, October 4th, with community-wide initiatives that connects volunteers with local agencies and schools, so that we have a variety of projects. City staff will be volunteering at Manna Food Bank pantries this year, working on landscaping and sorting and organizing their warehouse. Right now, we have over 40 staff members signed up to participate in a variety of city departments, including City Hall, Housing, Pensacola Energy, the Port, PPD, and Pensacola Fire. We're excited for the opportunity to give back to our community, and I will be participating at least for a couple hours. I didn't need to leave. We've got the Mayor's Cup at Osceola, which I'm participating in for first tee, so I'm looking forward to participating in that as well. I have a team together, and they told me I could get whoever I want, so I grabbed Adrian. So I'm looking for some course that he knows where to go on the course. So I am excited about our team doing that as well. So it should be a great week. A lot of things happening, but a lot of good things happening, and hopefully, finally by this weekend, I think we're supposed to get some rain and maybe start turning a little cooler and become fall. So, anyways, that's a little bit about what's going on. Happy to answer your questions.
Just to clarify, so what's the stretch that they're concerned about, particularly that they think would justify a pedestrian barrier?
Right there at End Street.
Like, but from end to where?
I mean, Pace is O, so that's Pace, and there's a mid-block crossing between N and M. So again, that little stretch.
2 blocks.
Exactly. So not even 2 blocks, block and a half. What they want to do is at a block and a half, you either go to Pace and cross, or you go to the mid-block crossing where there's a push button between M and N.
And then, was there any talk about around E Street? That's a very high pedestrian crossing there. Is that also a fence or not a fence?
No fences. No, we talked about no fences. The only thing we talked about was potentially there being some issue of barrier. And again, I don't know if it's even going to be a fence. It may be planters. It may be some type of landscaping. So again, I think they, you'll see them do some different things that they want to do. People ask about landscaping. We told them we want something similar to maybe something on Bayfront that has that is it mule grass or whatever, stuff that looks real pretty and purple in the fall. But anyways, it's fairly easy to maintain. We want something that's easier to maintain. Some trees that we might could get in there if it's in the areas that are wide enough in the median for us to have trees. Again, Mike Z talked about the idea of when you have trees like that, it causes people to want to slow down because it's more enclosed. So again, any of those things that we think we can add landscaping, our staff was very adamant about wanting to find other ways to traffic calm. And so again, we're going to try to do that with some landscaping, but something that's fairly indigenous, doesn't need a lot of water, so it can live. So I think it'll be something like what you see in the corridor down there on Bayfront or other places where we have stuff that's more natural to this area, indigenous to this area, and can work with that. So that's the goal and objective, is really to bring the fence down and the barrier down. I will say, the one challenge that when you look at it was that little block and a half, and we had 7 to 8 little red dots going across there. So that's a very challenging intersection for us, and we feel like if we give you a half a block to go get across with the push button, or a block to go walk across from Pace, either way, it should find some way to alleviate those problems in walking across that section.
So still median, the rest of the stretch is maybe a pedestrian barrier, but looking to try to make it like some kind of.
I want to be very clear. The only place I'd see the pedestrian barrier would be at end.
Right, right.
So the whole idea is to get
but everywhere
that
else,
down.
still the median. That's still the plan.
Have some type of median, exactly. They were still working on it.
And then you said lights. I wasn't clear. Are we
traffic signals?
Are we now down to just 2 from what had been 4, or?
Well, they're going to do one at J.
Right.
And so there are 2 additional ones, is what they talked about.
Okay, so not the 4 you've been talking about recently.
The 4 included the one at J,
Right,
so that was 3 more. So we did not get one at C. There's going to be an opening at C, but not a signal.
Okay. So you said.
I mean, we're still working on that.
J, L, and then either R or.
No, it's going to be R. They did not like Q. They thought it was too close to Pace. It would affect the stacking. They preferred R. That's what, and then of course we have one at T. So it's 2 blocks between R and T. You'll have 3 blocks between Pace and R. We have several vacant corners at R, or some things. So we're hoping some of that will create a neighborhood commercial in that area. So we're still working on it. City's going to continue to work on what we can, but the whole idea, we definitely wanted to get the barrier. We were very emphatic that needed to come down, and we need to look at different ways to handle what we're doing and trying to figure out. And again, one of the big things I thought was good was at first they talked about shortening the lanes and then widening the median, and we said that's not what we want. We would rather have more sidewalk on the sides. So we're trying to look at that and finding ways that they're gonna like I said, chicane the road. So it will find a way to make cars that are going that won't be just straight. They'll kind of have to do little little motions one way or the other, but the whole idea is to slow you down, to get you in that area to slow the speeds. And so I think that's perhaps the best thing that we saw out of it. And I think both DOT staff and City of Pensacola staff is focused on how we can slow speeds down in that area.
What finally made DOT, loosen up on that?
We continue to keep pleading with them, and I think obviously citizens spoke, and there are a number of different issues that are there. It's I say that all the time. People always go like, you need to go and say something. This is one of the things I've laughed about the 5G. Well, you need to go say something. Well, 2 years ago I was there and I got run over, and I told you, if you want to change the legislature, citizens need to speak up. Mayor, local officials saying something, they really don't care. So I think this is one of those cases where we put out a word, but it wasn't until they heard from other people that they got the message and moved forward. So again, it's always good to have people there. So we definitely want a lot of people at the November public hearing. I think that will be one that we would like a lot of people there to see it, and our whole goal is hopefully to get the plan beforehand so we can get it out to people and they can take a look at it.
Since we're just kind of in that vicinity, the turn lane reconfiguration at 110, Cervantes, the left turn lane, they're extending. Talk about pulling that turn lane back west of the off-ramp. Have you been progress on that or talked about that?
I have no problem with it. I'm sure one of their problems is going to be people who think to turn the wrong way onto the interstates. I don't know. I don't know how that would work. It's not like you can cordon it off because obviously the car's coming off the ramp, got to take a left. So I thought it was a good idea, but I get the point where I think DOT is going to be concerned about people wanting to turn left, and then all of a sudden, Derek, do you have something on that?
Well, Mayor, I was just going to say that we have spoken with DOT about it, and there's a geometry issue there. It's just like the mayor's saying, there's only so much room, and then there's people coming down off the ramp have to be able to make that left turn going east. So they can't extend that left turn pocket going to the north to get on the ramp. So it's a geometry issue right now that they're wrestling with, and there's only so much room. It's like the mayor said, people have got to be able to make that turn going east. So they're looking at it, but there's no readily obvious solution at this point.
So it's the left turn radius going under the overpass there.
Yes. Because
you have cars queuing there.
Right, exactly. So they can't back that left turn pocket up because it'll block. It's happening now, and they're aware of that. They are looking at solutions, but right now the hardship is just fixed geometry.
I do want to talk about, there are a lot of things going on right now with what we're doing with DOT and making things more walkable. We have a request in to take MLK and Davis two-way. We also are working with them and potentially taking a road diet on North Palafox, north of Cervantes. There are a lot of things working right now. We also are working obviously on our TPO, trying to put the multi-use path for Scenic Highway as a priority and moving forward with that initiative as well.
Main Street also. And
of course Main Street, which we want to do the west portion west of A Street. That would tie into, if we're going to go do we're going to spend the money to go do the flooding, we don't need to tear it up and then come back and do it again. It's one of those things where it'd be more cost effective. We told them to do it all at once, do the road and do the putting the pipes in all at the same time.
At council, it kind of came up as an afterthought, but Sherry and Jared Purdue were talking about the right turn on red, that nationwide this is a problem, and it kind of hinted at the possibility that maybe banning that or restricting that as a pedestrian safety measure. Is that even a thing? Or?
That's going to be at their level. That's not, the city's not going to control that. That's going to be a state initiative or a federal initiative. And at this point, we're working on street lighting for Sherry, and we will continue to do that. And our whole goal is to see more street lights up on 9th Avenue and other places. We've made that a clear priority, and then trying to work with some landscaping in some areas that we have on 9th Avenue, and trying to trying to bring up the beautification. So we're working, those are some of the things we're working on, but Cervantes is simply one thing that I think that we're working with DOT right now, and I want to also commend the current secretary, Secretary Tebow over in Tallahassee. He has been very emphatic about making safety improvements and beginning to realize that it's not just about cars. So I want to give him a lot of credit in this process too. I think he's been hearing us say we'd like to make these initiatives that deal with safety. They may not be as much about pulling cars through the city, but how do we slow them down as they're going through. So we have a lot of projects right now, so we're going to keep working those. I will say we are working right now trying to get Mike up. We've been on Summit. I know I'm meeting with Jared Moore later this week. And when I met with him in September at our meeting, he talked about wanting to improve some walkability issues up there on Summit. So Mike has been working on that. We're going to bring an initiative up there on Summit in Piedmont to help get people across there. We're also looking at getting back up on Langley. Obviously, as we come in with the soccer fields, we've made a commitment to the people in Scenic Heights that we're going to address some things at Langley. What we've been told is by the Scenic Heights Association, we said we would put a traffic signal, we would put a roundabout, and they've told us they would like us to look at the roundabout. I know that Derek and his staff had sort of designed something that we could put forward. Derek's scared back there because he knows it's going to cost about $250,000. He reminds me that it's not coming out of his budget. I told him it's not coming out of his budget. We would ask council for that money. We as mayor, council, we made a commitment to the neighborhood we were going to do those things. So I think that's an appropriation. When we get ready, we'll come to the council and see how we deal with that and figure out a way to move that $250,000 in. But we made a commitment. The other place that we clearly want to look at is Leesway and Langley. We want to talk to Mike about how we can try to tamp down speeds on Langley. So we're going to, again, our goal is to be in every neighborhood and doing things. And in fact, this past week, on Friday, I met with John Geralds. I know one of the things John wants to work at is how do we improve some safety and walkability right there on Berkeley by the Woodland Heights, and potentially looking at a sidewalk through the Woodland Heights neighborhood. So there are a number of initiatives that we're looking at this particular time. I think the goal is just to keep trying to make progress in every single neighborhood. It's exactly what we're doing right now, and we have initiatives in every neighborhood. So we're just trying to move those through. Yes.
Councilwoman Hill mentioned, the concept of extending that project, all the way to Halifax. Is that something y'all discussed with them?
Two things. One, the project when it was initiated was to Palafox. The reason it dropped off is there were no fatalities between Aya and Palafox, and so the road changed because this was safety money. I know it's a difficult issue to say, but when those things get set and once the initiative gets going, it's moved at that time. As we move forward, I think there will be opportunities to look. Our position to North Hill neighborhood is we've been making initiatives already. They're going to be starting construction on A Street. We've clearly started south of Cervantes on Palafox, and our goal is to diet north of Palafox. And really focus on the crossings both at Palafox and A. And so if you're in the North Hill area, we would rather you to cross Cervantes. We'd rather you go to A Street or go to Palafox and come down. And I think at this particular time, I'm not saying that we wouldn't look to address some things, but I mean, I don't see additional monies that are in place right now for that section. I don't disagree with Ann. It would have been nice to include in there, but for a variety of reasons, they actually looked, and DOT made a choice. Once they made that choice, that was made in the prior administration. Once they set the parameters, that's where they have the money, and that's the way DOT works. So I knew moving them once they had set those parameters was going to be very difficult to move. But I do think for North Hill, we are making two initiatives that we're really working on. One is going to be that A Street that takes it all the way down to bring you down to Main Street. And the other initiative is what we're doing on Palafox. So, you know, our goal, if you're in North Hill, we'd like you to go to A or Palafox and then go across from there.
Grand jury stuff. This might be a question for Mike Wood, but do you know if PPD is doing anything in the way of preparation or anything leading up to that?
Question, go talk to Mike Wood. I would go talk with Mike. Else that or Bill Evans people, and that's where to go to get that information.
You still meeting with the Dream Defenders?
Chris and them met, I think, a while back. I don't know. They're moving forward. We're trying to figure out what we're doing and implementing. I mean, we're certainly looking at some of those initiatives. We made a commitment to training. We made a commitment to being more accessible in neighborhoods with our police, and we certainly, we're trying to figure out in some way or another. I know we've been talking with Lawrence and looking at there ways that we could. We used to have a citizens advisory committee. How could we do that again and create something that is there that could help as we're figuring out, certainly getting neighborhoods connected with police, how we deploy assets, what do we do. Really strong initiative. I'm still trying to figure, I know right now, Chief Leiter's obviously having family issues and working through some of those things, but I've been talking, at some point we're going into the new year tomorrow. My goal is to get those bike patrols back out. Acting Chief Mallett, Captain Mallett, did one of those bike patrols. He came up through it. I think these are good things that he talked about was, when he was there, I'm not sure we made a lot of decisions over the last 8 years. We've been trying to correct them. So we made a lot of decisions that have cut things, and we're trying to bring things back into those areas that we think will be a better way to manage how we do and work better relationships.
Have you talked to anybody state? I know you just mentioned this last week, but have y'all had an opportunity to talk with anybody statewise in regards to 5G?
Last week we passed it as an initiative. It's an initiative to go back on the one. We were over in Panama City. Chris and I went to Panama City last. The Florida Association of Counties were there. We went and talked to some of our friends at the counties and trying to see if they would be receptive to maybe cities, counties, and the industry coming back and asking for to be able to put things on DOT poles. And the reason that's important is we potentially could move locations out of neighborhoods into DOT roads, and find ways to move those kind of things. So, we're looking at all these things right now and trying to help. And I talked after last week. I talked with Alex Andrade, and one of the things after talking with Jared said, well, the issue is it's the cost. Well, so I said, well, then why don't you make the cost the same cost you give the city for everyone? They move down the cost. So if you make it consistent, if it's a county or city pole, it's just the same as a DOT pole. I mean, it's a cost of that, and adjust. If you set the cost for the counties and cities, set the same cost for DOT. But again, that was our hope going that one way. Two is certainly if they could repeal the language they've already put in there. We passed that on Thursday night. It's one of our legislative initiatives. So we're sort of two-pronged with this. We'd love to try to get back to local control. If we can't get local control, we're trying to figure out at the same time how to implement it better so that perhaps everything doesn't have to be in a city responsibility or a county responsibility, and how can we put some of these things back on the main DOT roads.
Do you think there's a chance of getting local control?
Unless the citizens become really vocal, like what you saw with the Cervantes, I don't see it happening. But it's one of those things where, I was there. We were there fighting 2 years ago, and we fought this fight, and it was tough to get anybody interested in it from a citizen standpoint. The polls weren't showing up; they weren't doing other stuff. You're trying to warn people, but it's like trying to warn people before something happens. Everybody, you know, all of a sudden when it happens, they're like, well, what do you mean? What were you doing? Well, we were over in Tallahassee trying to stop this, but it didn't work out. So potentially it could be, but it's going to really take some citizen involvement because, you know, we can pass a number of resolutions. I can go over there in my position. It really doesn't matter. It's when they start getting a lot of emails and phone calls from constituents that will change their opinion of what happens. But that's about it. All right. Thank you. Have a good week.